March 3, 1943. As dawn broke over Port Moresby, New Guinea, Major Edward Lana gripped the controls of his B-25 Mitchell bomber with steady hands, monitoring his fuel gauges while the twin engines hummed rhythmically. Through the scratched cockpit plexiglass, he could see 11 more B-25s forming up behind him, their propellers slicing silver arcs in the tropical light. The Japanese convoy steaming through the Bismar Sea had no idea that within the next 15 minutes, their understanding of naval warfare would be upended by a daring and unconventional bombing tactic, one previously dismissed as nearly suicidal. The strategy involved flying at a mere 200 feet, skimming the ocean at 200 to 250 miles per hour, close enough to feel the salt spray, close enough to see enemy faces before bombs bounced across the water like stones. Japanese forces, departing from Rabaul under the protection of 8 destroyers and numerous Zero fighters, expected a routine journey. Instead, the rules of engagement were about to be rewritten. The groundwork had begun 2 months earlier at the headquarters of Lieutenant General George Kenney, commander of the 5th Air Force. Throughout 1942, American bombers had struggled to hit Japanese ships from altitudes of 5,000 to 10,000 feet, their bombs falling harmlessly into the ocean while the enemy resupplied New Guinea with little resistance. In January 1943 alone, American planes flew 416 sorties to sink only 2 ships, damaging 3 more. Kenney, a World War I fighter pilot with a reputation for innovative thinking, realized conventional high-altitude bombing was failing because ships had ample time to maneuver away from falling bombs. The solution was radical. Bombers had to strike from dangerously low altitudes, leaving ships no chance to evade. Flying that close to heavily armed warships defied every principle of bomber survival. Anti-aircraft fire would be deadly, and a single hit could destroy the plane. Yet there was precedent. Major William Benn of the 63rd Bombardment Squadron had successfully conducted night skip bombing in October 1942, launching bombs that bounced across water like flat stones. Unfortunately, Benn died in January 1943 before the technique could be perfected for daytime operations and full squadrons. Enter Major Paul Gunn, a former naval aviator driven by personal loss during the Japanese invasion of the Philippines. He transformed B-25 bombers into flying gunships, adding multiple forward-firing .50 caliber machine guns to suppress enemy defenses while approaching for bomb runs. The modifications turned the planes into flying battleships capable of devastating firepower. The bombs, equipped with delayed fuses, would skip across the water and strike or penetrate enemy vessels at the precise moment. Training was relentless. Edward Lana, now in command of the 90th Bombardment Squadron, drilled his pilots over a wrecked British steamer in Port Moresby Harbor. Crews repeatedly practiced dives to 200 feet, learning split-second timing for bomb releases. Losses occurred. 1 crew perished during practice, but Lana's squadron persisted, aware that Japanese convoys carried troops and supplies that would otherwise strengthen enemy positions in New Guinea. By late February 1943, Lana's squadron was ready. Intelligence had identified a convoy departing Rabaul on February 28, carrying 6,900 troops and 8 transports, protected by 8 destroyers. Allied reconnaissance tracked the convoy, allowing Kenney to assemble a coordinated strike. B-17s would attack first from medium altitude, followed by Australian bow fighters strafing at wavetop height, and finally, B-25s executing low-altitude skip bombing with supporting gunfire. On March 3rd, the convoy was spotted, and Lana's squadron launched. At 200 feet, B-25s sped toward the ships, guns blazing. Bombs released with exact timing skipped across the ocean and struck the hulls with devastating effect. Japanese sailors were cut down on deck, gun positions destroyed, and chaos erupted aboard. Within minutes, all 8 transports were hit, 3 destroyers damaged, and fires engulfed the convoy. A follow-up attack with A-20 Havoc bombers and continued B-25 sorties ensured the destruction of remaining vessels. P-38 Lightning fighters engaged Japanese Zeros, protecting the bombers. In total, by March 4th, 8 transports and 3 destroyers had sunk, over 2,800 Japanese troops were killed, and only 1,200 reached shore with weapons and supplies lost. Allied casualties were minimal. 13 aircrew killed, 4 aircraft lost, and a few wounded. The aftermath was brutal. Allied pilots were ordered to strafe survivors in rafts to prevent reinforcement of Japanese positions, a decision justified by the intensity of Pacific combat and Japanese refusal to surrender. The human cost was heavy and morally troubling, yet strategically decisive. The Battle of the Bismar Sea proved that land-based aircraft could annihilate naval convoys without surface support and validated low-altitude skip bombing as a reliable tactic. For Lana, it was the pinnacle of his career, though he tragically died less than 2 months later in a flying accident. His squadron's legacy endured, sinking dozens more Japanese ships, and the tactics pioneered spread across the Pacific and even to the Mediterranean, influencing bomber design and air warfare strategy. The battle cut off Japanese supply lines to New Guinea, hastening Allied advances and reshaping the course of the war. The engagement demonstrated the power of innovation, meticulous training, intelligence, and coordination. Pilots faced near-impossible odds yet executed with precision and bravery, establishing lessons in modern warfare that remain relevant. Adapt tactics to the mission, integrate intelligence with operations, modify tools for maximum effectiveness, and prepare personnel rigorously. Lana's actions and those of his men turned what seemed impossible into a blueprint for success, closing a crucial chapter in the Pacific theater and leaving a legacy of courage, ingenuity, and strategic brilliance. The 15 minutes over the Bismar Sea in March 1943 exemplified the extraordinary impact of tactical innovation and human determination. Through meticulous planning, technical ingenuity, and sheer courage, Lana and his squadron reshaped naval warfare, proving that unconventional strategies could decisively overcome even the most formidable defenses. The battle's lessons continue to resonate, a testament to the enduring principles of skill, innovation, and courage under fire.